If you want to do other things like change the display logic of a question, do the randomization, or again, the skip logic, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about that here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the page break. And now we're going to go over the display logic. So let's say that I want to know what people who sleep than less than 6 hours do at night. I'm going to go ahead and add a new question and make it text entry. And here I'm going to ask people, what do they spend their night doing? And like I said, I only want this question to show up if for question 8, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? They chose less than 6. So I'm going to go down to the question, what do you spend your night doing? Go to the edit question tab, scroll down and click display logic. So display logic essentially only pops up the question if people choose a specific answer choice. So here I'm going to leave it on question and then clicked how many hours of sleep did you get last night and select a choice. So again, I want to know what people did last night if they slept less than 6 hours. I'm just going to click save. So now this question will only show up if they choose that answer choice. So that's how you use the display logic here. So this will hide the question if they choose any other answer choice and it will not appear in your survey. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause here and show you guys a preview just so you guys can see how this works. So to preview your survey, you're going to want to go to the upper right-hand corner and you'll see this preview button and you want to go ahead and click it. And it'll take you to a whole new tab. Just gotta give a second to load. And here on the left, it'll show you the desktop view, like how it'll look like on a laptop or an iPad. And on the right, it'll show you what it looks like on a cell phone. So again, this is the consent form section. You want people to read this, and then they just scroll down and we're gonna click yes, I consent. And this is the arrow I was talking about when you add a page break. This just allows people to go to the next section without just being able to scroll. And then here is the demographics. You have your age, gender, and then race and ethnicity. This is what your tax entry looks like under other. So if they click other, you can go ahead and insert an answer. Just go to the next tab, and here we have how many hours of sleep did you get last night? So first, I'm going to show you guys what happens when you click an answer choice that's not less than 6. So I'm going to go ahead and click 6 to 7 and go to the bottom, go to the next section. As you can see, this takes you to the end of the survey because the display logic hides that last question of what did they do last night if they didn't click the first answer choice. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the survey on the upper left side just so you guys can see what happens when they do choose less than 6. So now once I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and choose less than 6, scroll down and go to the next section. As you can see, now I have a question, what do you spend your night doing popped up instead of going all the way to the end of the survey. So yeah, this is just how you use the display logic. And once you click the arrow again, it takes you to the end of the survey and people have finished. So that was a quick little preview of what your survey will look like and as well as how the display logic will look like. And now I'm going to go over how to use the randomization tool. So the randomization tool can be used in two different ways. So the first way it can be used to is to randomize the order of the questions within a block. So let's say I want to randomize the order of these questions here, and I don't want people to always get asked how many hours of sleep they got last night. Maybe sometimes I want the stress question to pop up first, and other times I want the relaxing question to go first. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click my block, go to the left where it says block behavior, and choose question randomization. And here you can see different options pop up, and you can choose to present a certain number of questions, randomize the order of all questions, or have no randomization. So I'm going to go ahead and click randomize the order of all questions and then save. And like I said, this will save automatically, and you can scroll down. And although you input your questions in a certain order here, that won't change, but it will change if you click preview, and every time someone takes your survey, it'll jumble up the questions in different orders. So, as this pop-up says, you do want to be careful when you use the question randomization within a block and you have a display logic. As you can see here, it says using display logic in a randomized block might override other conditions. So, essentially, what this means is although you have the display logic for this question to pop up, if people choose less than six, the randomization tool will make it so that sometimes it appears and sometimes it does not. So you just want to be careful when you use the randomization tool, and you just really want to use it for within block randomization if it's really necessary for your survey. So since I want the display logic more than I want the randomization, I'm going to go ahead and just remove it and put no randomization. But I just wanted to show you guys how you can randomize the different types of questions within a block if it's necessary for your survey. Just remember to be careful if you're using other features like the skip or display logic. So another way to use the randomization tool is, let's say you have a survey where you want to ask some people about their stress levels and other people about their diet, but you just want to randomly assign people these types of surveys. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and add another block, and remember to add a page break in between each question that you want to be on different pages. So I'm going to go ahead and add a page break here and add a page break after this question. So for block three, I'm just going to do maybe the second part of my survey that I want some people to get, whereas I want the first part other people to get. So I'm just going to go ahead and randomize a few questions into here, and I'll be right back to show you how to use the randomization tool. Okay, everyone. So I finished adding the new questions into my new block. And like I said, let's say I want some users to get the diet questions, and I want other users to get the original survey, which asks about stress levels, sleep, and relaxation. So to do that, I'm going to want to go to the most left-hand side and go to the second tab and click Survey Flow. So here it shows you the order everything will appear in. Your first block will be consent, then demographics, the original survey questions, and then my diet survey questions. So I obviously want to add a randomization block right after my demographic section because I want to randomize my survey and diet survey questions. So in the demographics block, I'm going to go ahead and click add below, and this will pop up. And so I'm going to want to go ahead and add the randomizer tool. So here, instead of adding a new element and adding these blocks, I'm going to go ahead and move my blocks inside. So the reason why you want to move them and not just duplicate them into the randomizer is that, let's say you duplicate them. So let's move them back out. I'm going to show you guys what will happen. I'm just going to move them back out. So let's say instead of moving them, I add a new element and I add a new block. And I add my survey questions block, and then I add my diet survey questions. So what this will do is this will randomize the order that these two blocks show up in, but then it'll also still show these two blocks again. So essentially people will be asked the survey and diet survey questions twice, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these and simply move in the original questions. So now here, you want to be careful with your randomly present of the following element section because if you leave it at 2, it will still show both blocks just in a random order. So sometimes it'll ask the survey questions first and then the diet survey, or sometimes it'll ask diet survey first and then the survey questions first. And this might be useful for your survey, so if that's what you want to do here. You can leave it at randomly present two blocks here. But for my survey, I just want some people to be asked about diet and others to be asked about stress and relaxation. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce this to one. And so now every time someone takes the survey, they'll only be asked either about their diet or about their stress and relaxation. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply, and now it's automatically saved. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to this left-hand side and click the first tab, which is Builder, to go back to my survey. And we're going to go ahead and preview this just so you know what it looks like. So again, to preview, you're going to want to go to the upper right-hand side and click Preview. And again, it'll take you to the desktop and cell phone view, and you'll want to answer all your questions. Again, we're forced to answer here. So if you try to go ahead, this will pop up. Please answer these questions because you require an answer. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down and click Yes, I consent. We're not going to fill out the demographics, but I just want to show you guys what the randomization does. So as you can see, even though I have the stress slash relaxation questions first in my builder, it's only asked me about diet because the randomization tool has asked me about this. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to the next page, and that's the end of the survey. It will only ask people for one block because we've reduced the randomization tool to go down to one element. Okay, so that was the end of the most useful features Dr. Parikh highlights in the document of the Qualtrics instructions. And just as a brief recap, we've gone over how to input your consent form, how to edit it. We've gone over demographics, how to input blocks, page breaks, the different types of question formats, as well as how to use skip logic, how to use display logic, and the two different types of ways you can use the randomization tool. So now you will see that Qualtrics automatically has an end of survey block. So you want to edit this for this course because you want to add a brief summary of what your survey slash study is looking at. And so to do that, you just want to click the end of survey block, go to edit end of survey, and then you want to change it from default to custom. And you want to click load a saved message and click new message, and it'll allow you to input your own type of message. So like I said, just give it a quick little summary and let people know that it's the end of the survey. Okay, so I went ahead and just input a quick little blurb just so you can see what it will look like. Again, you want to give your end of message a description as well as insert what you want it to say. And to insert it into the end of survey block, you just want to click save. Okay, so this is what it'll look like after you click save. It'll just pop in the message in the end of survey block. And that is everything that I will be going over in this video. If you have any other questions on how to use any other feature in Qualtrics, I highly recommend going into their website and checking out the different instructions they have in there. It was really useful when I was originally using Qualtrics because it goes into a step-by-step detail. So anything that I didn't cover in this video, I highly recommend going to Qualtrics and looking at that.